What is up, fantasy football fools? We are back after a short little intermission. Took a week off for the holidays. Hope everybody had a great Halloween. Things are getting a little spooky around the fantasy football arena for us. In particular, we are both on the losing side of where we want to be right now, on a little bit of a skid. How you feeling right now, coming out of, what is this, your third straight loss?
I think this might be my fourth straight
Fourth
loss.
straight
I
loss.
lost count. I have no idea. My team is kind of falling apart. Not feeling great. I actually did a pretty good week this week. 120 is pretty good when you think about it, but not when you're facing Chris, a 145. He had a great week. Yeah, my team just not feeling good about them. There's not much to say. They look good. Like on paper, it doesn't look like a bad team, but I've just had really bad weeks. Dak gets hurt. I'm glad I picked up Kirk Cousins this week. So I have Kirk Cousins the rest of the year probably because that Cowboys offense is toast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Not much to say about my team. It's just I want to see the standings. I haven't really looked at the standings since our last podcast. I would like to see what my points and points against are compared to league. So, because I don't think I've had that bad of a year, but I just can't find wins right now.
Yeah, I will say I do think this is one of your higher totals you've had on your little 4-game skid.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure, but I do think this is one of your higher weeks. So this is a tough loss. I mean, 119, that's a pretty good week. Honestly, you most weeks would expect to get a win. But we haven't seen a lot of high scores this year, and they've just been kind of random, like around the league. Like one guy's, he's putting up big numbers one week out of nowhere. Chris does have a really good team, though. We've talked about it all year, and he's gotten a couple guys back from injury with Cooper Kupp. I know Ramondre was out for a little while, and he's starting to heat up a little bit. So yeah, this is just a tough loss for you. It seems like no matter what you do with Mark Andrews, he's going to do the opposite, because he puts up 20s on your bench. And then when you put him in, he's either putting up a goose egg or single digit. So that's been tough for you, but it does look like Davante Adams is starting to hopefully find his groove on his new team on the Jets. And hopefully you can try and ride this momentum of a big score and at least sneak out a dub this week.
Yeah, and I don't know how long AJ Brown's going to be out for, but that's another big thing with Devontae Smith. It just hasn't worked out. But yeah, talking about Chris's team, yeah, this team is scary, especially with Cade Otton there, with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin gone. I think Mike Evans is coming back in a couple weeks, but Cade Otton is the man there, and man, I think the last 2 games he's gotten 15 plus, 20. Well, the last 3 weeks he's got
3
15
games.
plus.
He has been going crazy.
So that just makes this team even more scary. I mean, TJ Hawkinson hasn't been the same since his injury or since that coming back from injury, but he might pick it up. But yeah, this team.
1 game, so
yeah, this was his first game.
Yeah, this was his first game back.
Yeah, so we'll see how that. But I mean, ride Cade Otton for the hot hand. The flex is a little worrisome, but I mean, Justin Jefferson and Cooper Kupp, that's just a hell of a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it is. And then, I mean, even Jameer and Ramondre, pretty solid RB1, RB2.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, flex spot a little shaky, but when everything else around it is as good as this is a scary team. And yeah, this is going to be a team. I don't see this team missing the playoffs, so he's going to be a tough out.
Yeah, that's for sure, especially 1 week. And Josh Allen, even as a quarterback, I think he had like a down week. I have him in my other league. His first half was really bad, and then he still puts up a 22, which is, I mean, that's Josh Allen. So it's just, yeah, this team is very scary. I would not want to see this team again.
Yeah, looking good at 6-3 there.
Yeah, so we'll go to Johnny and Lubasi's game. Lubasi's having a tougher season than I am, and it's not getting any better.
It is not. Was it? It must have been 2 weeks ago because that was the last pod we did. He put up the highest score we've seen all year so far.
Yeah.
I think it was a 170 or 169. I can't remember. But ever since then, he's been kind of back to what he did the first 5 weeks. And it's been tough to watch, man. This team is just not able to put it together. He's got another goose egg. Think he's got a historic number of those racked up this year, I feel like. But this team is just not Not doing it, man. Austin Eckler was a great play this week with Brian Robinson out, but that's pretty much and Garrett Wilson had a phenomenal week. That catch that he made for that touchdown was so nuts.
Yeah,
And
he had
Quentin
a couple
Johnston had a
great
good week.
starts here, and it just didn't work out. He still got below 100.
Yeah, he got three great starts, but everything else just kind of crumbled here, and that's really just been the story of his season. Like this is tough. He takes his seventh loss. I'm sure there's no really talks about a panic button at this point. I think
I think he's
it might
done.
be time to stick a fork in it, and really, I think he's just playing not to have to run that 5K.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, if you think about it, or when we see it in the standings, and maybe the next, I think we'll talk about this game soon, but he doesn't even have the worst record in the league. So,
No, no, he does not. And I will say, I did look at the standings this morning. Nobody is officially statistically eliminated yet. So there is a very, very slight chance that that's possible, but Lubasi and Jimmy are hanging by a thread right now. Johnny, on the other hand, not the same story. This guy's getting hot in the middle of the season.
yeah, and the thing is, Puka wasn't even on the field for the 3 quarters, and he still puts up a 123. I think this guy didn't Johnny start 0-3, I believe.
Yeah, he
Um,
definitely had a rougher start to the season. Then he went
yeah,
on a big run, and then I think he dropped one, but now he's back, got it back on track. And this is a pretty good team. He's got a few low scores here, but like you said, Puka did leave that game early. Forgot what sport he was playing. This is not boxing, but yeah, this is a really good team.
yeah, I like this team. I mean, J.K. Dobbins was like my deepest sleeper. I got him in my other league, and I'm loving that pick. I think he was an eighth, ninth round pick, which was just a great RB2. And with Jonathan Taylor even having a down week, I mean, just yeah, Johnny's team is starting to be more consistent. I know Drake London got out of that game in the first quarter too. I have Drake London in my other league. He caught a touchdown pass, but got hurt. I think it was his hamstring, so he didn't play for a full half, maybe even more. So Johnny might be looking. He doesn't have a questionable designation unless it doesn't show in this. Yeah, so he is questionable, but um, yeah, Johnny's team is starting to scare. I don't think he is. I think I put Chris over Johnny right now, just team wise. But Johnny is definitely looking better than the start of the season.
Yeah, he's definitely looking like he's priming up to make a playoff run. And this is another one of the teams I wouldn't love to see. Like you said, I do think Chris's team right now, just looking at that probably is a tier ahead. But if Johnny's team keeps it up like this, I mean, and if all these guys are firing, if Taylor and Puka are both putting up normal numbers here, I mean, this is a pretty scary team.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. We'll have to see Johnny's path. I don't know who he plays this week, but it's gonna be interesting because 5-4 is 5-4, 4-5. I think we got a couple of those teams. It's going to be a very tight race, and I think 4-5 for Dom. These 4-5, 5-4 teams are really going to have to start pulling out these W's to really get ahead of the pack, especially if we see intra-division records. When we look at the standings, it'll be interesting to see what people are looking like here. But Rudy, 8-1. I think this is the best record in the league. If I'm not mistaken. I think Jeff is 7-2. But
Yeah.
what are you thinking about Rudy's team
I
with a
mean, this
goose egg?
guy, this
Gotta
guy
live.
is, it's good, man. It's good. This is a really good team. Like we got a theme of the year is guys putting up goose eggs and still dropping high numbers. We did see Lubasi with a goose egg and his did
Yeah,
not work that way, but another one here. Rudy gets a guy with a goose egg, Michael Wilson, and he still puts up a 144 to go 8-1 in dominant fashion. I mean, it just seems like every week we're talking about this guy. Like he's just winning. He can't lose. He cannot lose right now, and it's definitely scary. I would put this team up in that tier with Chris. This is a scary team that I do not want to face in the playoffs if I get there, and especially with all the big names that he's got on his bench. Christian McCaffrey's coming
yeah,
back this week. I mean, dude, this is a team, man. This is a team. This, I think, obviously, probably going to be hands down the number one seed. I just don't see him. I don't know who's going to beat him. But man, and now Chase Brown's the RB1 in Cincinnati. Like this, like everything is stacking in this guy's favor.
Yeah, and especially when we get to Jeff's team. But yeah, comparing the two top teams, which would be Jeff and Rudy at the moment, CD Lamb is going to go down because of the Dak injury. I think Rudy's got the best team. Chris is actually, I want to say Chris is up there with these two. I would put Chris in the same tier, but probably in the bottom of the tier. But yeah, Rudy's team, just Chase Brown elevates his team to another level, especially with Christian McCaffrey putting him in the flex, so you don't have two Raider receivers in there. But the two Raider receivers work, but that's not always going to happen, especially with that offense. But we can just put Jacoby Myers in our wide receiver two, and then McCaffrey at the flex, because I don't think Michael Wilson will see another start.
Well, you got George Pickens down there that's going to come back, or you got DK Metcalf.
Yeah, so it's,
I mean, dude, this guy is literally like everyone on his starting roster, on his bench. Like, these are all people, like, these guys would be starting in most of the garbage teams lineups. So yeah, this is I would say this right now, like, if this continues this way, this is our top team right here. But I would, like you, I think Jeff, Chris, Lubasi, or Jeff,
Lubasi,
Rudy, Jeff, Chris, and Rudy are definitely our big three right now. I think all three of those guys are going to easily get into the playoffs, and we're all just going to be fighting to find an upset somewhere. And I will jump over to Dom's team here, because we have talked about Dom's team all year also about being just, I mean, he's got a good team. He's got a lot of good guys, but he cannot put together wins.
Can't find wins.
He did beat me last week, although I did not put up a great score. But I mean, this team is good. He does have Debo, who's been kind of in and out, who's on a bye last week. But yeah, I don't know, man. Dom's team is like good, but I can't at this point right now put him up there with the big three.
No, especially with 4 and 5. I mean, there's something wrong with this team. It'd be interesting to see like his schedule just by himself with what his 9 games. But I don't know. Kyler puts up a dud. I mean, I don't think Kyler. I was really high on Kyler, 9th quarterback. I think you had a little bit more high hopes for him being a little bit more of a breakout candidate. I mean, these scores aren't terrible, but you have these low scores like a 4, like a 9, and even this 12, maybe a little 14. Like, you just expect a little bit more. He hasn't really had like a great game. Like, maybe you could say this 28 game, but with how much he rushes, you would think he would get 30 balls, not easily, but kind of like from time to time, and not really get these 9, 4s, 12s a lot. So I don't know. I think he's been a disappointment from what I expected him. I don't know really. I mean, Dom reached for him, I think 2 or 3 rounds ahead of where I was going to reach for him. So I think Dom had higher expectations as well, but yeah, Dom he has a good team. They just can't play together. It's weird.
Yeah, I think the one positive note for Dom, if this team does make the playoffs, I think he's got just as good a chance of anybody, because like if this lineup, if all of them actually perform on the same week, I mean he could put up an awesome score. So. Yeah. I will say, if he can somehow stack the wins to get into the playoffs, this will be a team I think to keep an eye on. Like, if all these guys start firing, then he's going to be just fine. But yeah, right now just a tough year he's had with such a good roster.
Yeah, if I'm Rudy, Jeff, and Chris, the teams that are probably going to make the playoffs, I really want to see Dom not make the playoffs. I want him losing to make sure that I don't have to see him in a 1-week playoff.
Yeah. That could be scary.
But we'll go to your score, which I think is the lowest score of the week. Yes, lowest score of the week. Had a couple injuries, but not great scores, especially from your tight end position. You just cannot get that position right, huh?
No, it doesn't matter what I do. I play one, the other one goes off. I play the same one the next week, and it's the same. The other one goes off, and I switch them, and then it's just it sucks having 2 like startable tight ends, because I keep playing the wrong one, and it's tough to see that on the bench. And same thing with my flex, dude. The last couple weeks I could just have not gotten that right. I've been debating between the guys on my bench and the guy I actually play, and I always play the wrong person. Cedric Tillman's been the guy the last 2 weeks, and he's been on my bench both times. So it's really been tough, because last week it could have possibly won me the game. This week, not so much. I did not have a good week, but yeah, Chris Olave goes out in the first quarter. I've, it's funny because like my team has not had a lot of bad injuries per se where people are missing weeks, but I keep seeming to lose guys in games. Like I'm getting guys that are just getting hurt early in games. It seems to always be the first quarter. Jordan Love last week, and then Chris Olave this week. Like my guys just keep getting hurt in the actual game, not playing the rest of the game, and then they're fine after that. But it's like, if I can just get everyone to play a whole game, that would be really great. And Brees Hall's had a couple down weeks. Jamar Chase, I mean, Joe Burrow threw 5 touchdowns,
No.
and Jamar Chase got 0 of them. So that's just bad luck there. Jordan Love playing in terrible weather, bad rain out there, so he just rough week for him. It's just, yeah, this is a tough week. I still like my team, but I got to get back on the winning side of things because I'm getting dangerously close to that middle of the pack now with a 5-4 record that I'm getting a little bit nervous.
Did Deontay Johnson play?
He did, but it was his first week with the Ravens, so limited snap count. They said he was only able to play like 10 or 15 snaps. And also, I don't love that that's where he went either. Like, that's
Yeah,
another
that's a
bad
terrible
thing that
thing.
happened. It's like he's still in. He didn't get hurt or anything, but he got traded to a team where he's going to see much lower volume.
Yeah.
So that's just just bad luck there. But hats off to Nick. He put up one of his higher scores in the last few weeks. I know we've talked about him. He's just been eking out wins with low scores, but of course, when he plays me, he puts up a 116. DeAndre Hopkins went absolutely silly in that game Monday night. So yeah, hats off to Nick here. He got me.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see DeAndre Hopkins as for Nick to go off, but he had this game pretty much in the bag even before that. Um, he just needed. No, I think was he winning before that match?
Yeah, he had me by like 4 or 5 points
Yeah.
going
Okay.
into Monday night.
But yeah, Chris's team is looking a lot better. I mean, Tyreek still hasn't even took off with Tua. I think the last 2 weeks Tua has been here, been back, and I mean he's gotten a lot better. But I mean, no touchdown yet. Just hasn't needs that spark. Nick needs him to have that spark because if Nick has any chance of going to the playoffs and actually making some noise, Tyreek Hill is going to have to just play like the 5th pick in the draft. I think it was like the 5th or 4th pick of the draft. So, with this team, it's not scary, but it's getting better from what it was. If I had to guess right now, I think Nick is one of the 5-4 teams that does not make the playoffs. But he's got a good foundation. I think DeAndre Hopkins elevates his team if he can continue. I know it's just 1 week, but if you got to be happy if you're a DeAndre Hopkins owner. So, I think this team could make some noise, but it doesn't look like it has enough juice.
Yeah, it's definitely not been scaring us most of the season. I don't see it getting too crazy. I mean, he's got good guys on this team, but I just don't see him putting up like the 130s, the 140s. Of
Right.
course, as of right now, I don't see me doing that either. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not super concerned about this team. Like if I were to make the playoffs, Nick's a guy I'd probably want to play.
For sure. Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how you two go. I feel like your team is kind of trending a little downward. I think Nick's trending a little upward. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. I know you still have the two. I mean, Brees Hall and Jamar Chase can put up 30 balls just like that. So I think you have like that firepower. It just doesn't show up that often.
No, I need a lot more performance out of my quarterback, and I need my tight end to get more than one catch, and I need my flex to do something to shake a little bit. But yeah, it's been tough.
25 than a 2. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, dude. That's the life of Kyle Pitts owner.
So we'll go to another 5-4 team in James. And man, I like James's team. It's just like a scrappy bunch of guys, you know. It's just they get wins. It's kind of the opposite of Dom. Like it doesn't look like it has a lot of firepower except for those 2 running backs that he has. But it's just a scrappy team. I don't know. It's fun to watch this team in a fantasy perspective do as well as it has with how not good it looks. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but it's just like this team doesn't wow you. I don't know how to explain James's team.
Yeah, I think you put it perfectly there. You're not wowed by this team, but it is scrappy. Like he's
It's
getting dubs.
scrappy.
He started the season pretty shaky. He did make a trade, I think week 3 or 4 maybe with
Or
Jimmy,
Sutton too.
to get Cortland Sutton. And yeah, I mean, ever since then, he hasn't been lighting it up by any means, but he's been getting dubs. Like, and yeah, I think scrappy is a good word. And honestly, like this team may not look like the best on paper, like as a whole, but man, those two running backs, like you could ride that
Oh,
wave pretty
yes.
much all the way. Like that's a scary running back duo. And kudos to James for getting those guys. But yeah, this team looks like it could make something shake. I mean, if he just keeps stacking wins, it doesn't have to look pretty. Like just put up the points, get the wins. And speaking of wins, a guy that's not getting very many of them, unfortunately, our guy Jimmy over here. Probably made the most trades, I think, of anyone, or at least the earliest trades. I think after week 2, he started selling the house, and things have just not been playing out very well in his favor.
Yeah, he's on an 8-game losing streak because he actually beat me week 1. So he's so for 2 months straight, this guy has watched his fantasy team lose,
That
which
is
is
so brutal.
very disheartening. But it's funny because James Cortland Sutton, he actually traded to Jimmy or from Jimmy for Jackson Smith and the Jigba, and Jimmy does not play JSN, and he just goes absolutely bonkers, which would have won Jimmy the game to put him in any of those wide receiver slash flex spots, and Jimmy gets this game. So James is probably glad that he did not. Well, James is glad that he didn't play JSN, but yeah, it's tough to be a Jimmy fan right now. If you're a fan of Jimmy's team, you are not doing great because
Yeah.
0-8 is tough. I don't. It's just tough. It's tough.
He has had a rough go of it. I know when he first made that big blockbuster trade with Chris, we were talking about how we thought Jimmy, I mean, I think we thought Jimmy won the trade. I mean, I think it was pretty close, but that first week after that trade, Jimmy's team looked so good. He took an L that week because
Yeah,
I can't remember who he was playing, but they put
I
up
think
a
it was
huge
Lassie.
they put up a huge number. Definitely wasn't Lubasi. They put up a huge number, and Jimmy just fell short a little bit. But his team looked so good, we thought like, oh, that's just a fluke week. And then ever since then, man, this guy has he just can't seem to buy a win. And it's very disheartening to see because I do think his team is very solid. He's got a lot of good guys on this team, but man, he's just had a rough go of it. Then you put it in this perspective there, 2 months
Yeah,
straight L's is that I mean he's got to be sick to his stomach about it. I can't even imagine.
I hope he's in a couple other fantasy football leagues and they're doing a lot better than this because I know I'm in 2 and I'm actually doing very well in my other one. So at least I get to at least enjoy some more fantasy football. But I'm hoping Jimmy's in a couple leagues that he's doing well in because this league is not going his way.
No, it is not. And I did mention earlier, Jimmy and Lubasi with 1 win and Lubasi with 2 are still, per ESPN, not statistically eliminated yet. So there is a very, very slim glimmer of hope. He's not out of it just yet, but at 1-8, it's tough to see positives out of that.
I mean, yeah, both of them have to win out. So, uh, I don't know. To be funny, I think they played. I think that's when Lubasi got his biggest score against Jimmy. I could be wrong about that,
I
but
don't think it was that week because I think that week after Jimmy got that trade was like week 4 or 5, and
okay,
Lubasi put up his in like week 6, I think.
okay. Well, I want to check that out after we talk about Jeff and Chewy, which was the closest game of the week. Chewy just falls short, 3-6. He's with me. Not a great feeling. Chewy has not had a great year, but he had a very good week, kind of like I did, a little better than I did, but just couldn't find the win. His tight end and flex spot that he got from you did not help the cause. And Jeff is still like, this is why I still think Jeff, like, I really want to put Jeff above Rudy and Chris's just because of this team, but CD Lamb does lose Dak. So that's going to be a tough ask to see what CD Lamb does for the rest of the month or the next month that Dak's out. But you're getting Nico Collins back soon, and Brian Robinson Jr. will be back, I'm sure, next week. I don't know really what his problem is, but I think he almost played this week and he was injured. So, but this team is still very good, and he gets a goose egg again, which defense's goose egg is not as weird as other ones, but it's still a goose egg nonetheless.
It's still a goose egg.
But it's
With a
crazy to see.
135.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. What an anomaly I feel like this year has been because we have just seen so many of these, and I think Jeff's had like most of
He's
them.
had a couple.
Jeff has had at least two or three of them where he's getting a goose egg but still dropping like 140 or 130, 140, and it's
150.
crazy. And like you said, I think it will be something to see with Dak out, what CD does. I do think CD did get hurt a little bit in that game. I don't know that it's like anything concerning, but he is questionable. So we'll see if he ends up even playing this week. But that would definitely be a big blow to Jeff's team. Though if Nico comes back, then he just, basically flip-flops them and he's still looking pretty good. But I mean Jeff's team, I still think this is a really star-studded team. Lamar and Kamara have just been having incredible years. And he's got more guys from there. Chuba Hubbard's been having a crazy year. But Jonathan Brooks, my guy that I've been holding on to all year in the IR spot, is slated or projected to play this week. So we'll see if he cuts into some of Chuba's volume and how that will shake out when they start playing together. I mean, the Panthers are pretty much in tank mode, so I'm not sure what that team's going to look like come, maybe not this week, but like the ends of the season weeks. I don't know what they're going to be doing, but I don't think it's going to matter for Jeff in particular. I mean, this team is good.
Yeah, it's scary good. If he figures out those goose eggs, he'll be even scarier, which is crazy because you don't think goose eggs can hold you back that much.
If he can just get his whole roster to put up points, period, then we're looking at a really dangerous team.
It's crazy that is his only weakness is goose eggs, and it's crazy.
It's not even a weakness, really. Like it's just like the difference between him putting up a lot of points or even more points. Like this team is crazy. We have that big three, man. Those teams are so scary.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that the two people Lubasi gave Jeff are sitting on this guy's bench, going crazy.
Yeah, and Lubasi gave those guys away to get Baker Mayfield, who I think he's only started once.
He didn't play this week. He played Jared Goff in a hurricane, and he thought that was good. Oh man.
Yeah, that's still to this day a very big head scratching trade from both sides. Really, I just don't know what exactly was going on there. But Jeff doesn't matter for Jeff because he didn't need it.
He don't care.
I think he was just doing it for shits and giggles.
Yeah, he wanted to do something. He wanted to feel something. I guess
just to say that he made a trade.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, going to Chewy's team. I mean, Chewy had some high scores, but I mean, the top half of his team looked so good, but then the bottom half just couldn't pull their weight. And you think like the tight end, flex, defense, kicker, you're not expecting too many points from them. I mean, you're expecting, low double digits, maybe high single digits, but this week just did not give them that. Sam Laporta, Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. has just been a bust all around, in my opinion. I have him in my other league. Just terrible pick. I don't know if Kyler just doesn't like him or what is going on with this guy, but he was a second-round pick. I picked him in the third round in my other league. It just hasn't been great.
Yeah, I was pretty happy to see that he hasn't really done much since I got rid of him. And neither has Laporta. I think Laporta had a good week on National Tight Ends Day, but that was his best score of the season. Yeah. And I mean, me and Chewy basically just swapped two bums and then flipped Breece Hall and Devon Achane, which Breece Hall did great the first couple weeks I had him, and now it's the other way. Achane's gone crazy since Tua's been back, and Breece Hall's had a couple duds. So we'll see how that impacts my team going forward. I would have loved to have that 32 this week. But, I mean, Chewy's just had a rough season, honestly. Like, he's got guys that are putting up these big numbers, but like you said, then he'll have the other half of the team not pulling any weight. And it's tough to get wins. I mean, but that being said, he puts up a 127, which in most weeks is a winnable score. like 8 times out of 10 you're going to win with a score like that,
Mhm.
but not when you're facing one of the big three.
Not when you're facing Goose Egg Jeff. He's
No,
just
Goose Egg Jeff.
Goose Egg Jeff. But he
There's my
still wins. It's
enemy, Goose
crazy.
Egg Jeff.
It's crazy. But yeah, I don't know if let's go to the standings. How much time we got left?
We got 5 minutes.
Okay, we might have to come back. But we'll see. We'll see what we do. But yeah, so go to the standings. Like you said, 1% chances for Jimmy and Lubasi, 6% chance for Chewy. I still have 14% chance, which is nice, which I think is probably because of my division record, but I don't think it's that good anymore. But we'll see. You have a 66% chance. You're leading the pack on the 5 and 4s, while you and Johnny are. James 58 and Nick kind of on the rear. So basically, in my mind, these three teams up here are winning, or not winning, but getting in the playoffs. So it's a 3-team race with you, James, Nick, Johnny, and maybe me and Chewy. I mean, we're still statistically there, but I'm not going to put Lubasi
Don't
and
forget
Jimmy in
about
there.
Dom.
And Dom, yeah. Well, yeah, Dom. So there's 3 spots for 7 of us. So
Yep.
that's gonna be a tight race.
I think it is going to be a tight race. It's gonna get really hairy, I think, in the next few weeks. I think you and Chewy obviously are in must-win mode. I think you guys are
Yes.
probably looking at having to win out. I can probably maybe one more loss, but even after 5, like I'm pretty much in win out mode. Hopefully, I don't have to worry about that. But I do play Lubasi this week, so it's either he takes me down to 5 and 5, or I take him to 2 and 8, possibly eliminating him from playoff contention. And I got to be honest, if I could do that, it would make me feel kind of warm and fuzzy inside. Me and Mubasi do have a little bit of a internal rivalry, and to be able to take him out while also going to 6 and 4, I mean, this is kind of like a big week for me. I'd really like to get that win. And then, like you said, we got 7 teams vying for 3 spots, so it's definitely do or die. We are getting
Yeah.
into
So
the nitty gritty.
yeah. So we got me and Dom, which is a big game because I feel like this is a must win for both of us. You and Lubasi, like you said. We got Chewy. Chewy's going against Chris, which is one of the big 3 in a must win game, I would say. Nick needs to beat Jimmy. I think even though Jimmy has a really good team, if you're playing a 1 and 8 team, you need to win. You just need to win. James and Johnny, which is a very good matchup of 5 and 4s. That'll be a very good, very cool matchup to see. And then the 2 big dogs are actually fighting this week, which is going to be a fun topic tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but next week.
Yeah, and that Jimmy versus Nick game is going to be big. I think us 7 teams, or I guess the 6 of us that aren't Nick, are going to be really pulling for Jimmy this week to get that
Yeah.
second win to take Nick down. I really hope Jimmy can pull that out. And yeah, I think this is going to be a fun week. There's a lot on the line this week.
No, this is definitely a big week, and you can see the points for here. It's kind of interesting that you see you and Nick on the bottom, and Chewy's there right behind you guys with Lubasi and me. We'll see the points against those. Probably, yeah, you're leading the pack there, and you can see the bottom 3 guys are just getting blown out, just getting destroyed. So that's what I expect. I expected my points against to be a little higher on the high side of the league because my team, I really haven't been scoring too many points though, to be honest. So just a down year for me. I'm still hungover from the championship last year.
Yeah, that must be it.
That is it. But yeah, this would be the division record, which is reason why you probably see you and I don't know really why Johnny has such a high percentage, but the reason why you probably have 66 is because of the 4-1 record. That's going to be very important. Whoever you play next in division has to be a win. You just got to keep racking those division wins up.
Yeah, and it won't be this week. Lubasi is out of division for me, but I really need this win. I really do not want to go on a 3-game losing streak. So next week will probably be in division as well. But yeah, that's definitely what I'm kind of hanging my hat on right now. That 4-1 should help me a lot, but I still need to. The team's got to turn it around.
Yeah, I agree. Home, nothing really there. Away streak. I was actually on a 5-game losing streak, so I have been down bad. I was 3-1.
Yes. Okay. So there it is. Yeah, we thought it was 4-game losing streak. It's
Yeah,
actually a 5. That is brutal.
yeah. So I've been just as bad as Jimmy. Well, not. I mean, 2 months compared to 1 month isn't as bad, but
Yeah. Well, these standings are certainly going to take a turn this week with the matchups that we have. So I am anxious to see it, but we are running out of time here. So we will probably go ahead and wrap it up there. Any closing thoughts in 3 seconds?
nope. Big week.
All right, boys. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Good luck to everybody. It's going to get crazy.
Peace.
Peace.